So if you just switched from console or your PC still isn't doing what it should, this one's for you. There's no bash files, no fake advice, just clean, tested settings for competitive gaming in 2026. Now real quick on the operating system, I'm on Windows 11 IoT LTSC. Think of it as Windows 11 but with all the junk actually removed. I tried Windows 10 LTSC as well, it's even cleaner, but modern anti-cheat will block you before you even enter into a game. Alright, so let's get into the in-game settings. I'm using Call of Duty as a test bench here, but honestly, this applies to pretty much any competitive title. Valorant, CS2, Battlefield, all of it. So first up is display mode. If you're on 2 monitors, go full screen borderless, you're really not giving up much latency wise. Single monitor though, go full screen exclusive. The game gets direct control over your display, which means lower latency and cleaner frames. Alright, next is NVIDIA Reflex. Set this to on plus boost. So what Reflex is doing is syncing up your GPU and CPU so frames aren't just sitting in a queue waiting to be processed. That directly cuts your system latency. We're talking the gaps between you clicking your mouse and actually seeing it on screen. The boost part keeps your GPU clocks pushed specifically to keep the queue tight. If you're GPU bound at all, this is doing something for you. Alright, next is custom frame rate limit. So I'm testing at 245 right now, but the actual recommendation is 2 to 3 frames below your monitor's max. Alright, next is HDR off. In a competitive setting, this actually works against you. Just turn it off and move on. For upscaling and sharpening, I'm running NVIDIA DLSS performance mode. On current NVIDIA cards, that's going to be preset M. In a fast competitive game, the frame rate gains are real. Especially on a mid-range GPU, this is one of the easiest pickups in the entire menu. If you're an RTX 20 or a 30 series card, preset M is heavier because those cards don't have native FP8 support, so stick with preset K instead, you'll see better results. For the rest of these, just follow along and match what's on the screen. Pause if you need to, I'll give you enough time. Alright, last thing before we move on is field of view. I've got mine at 103, anywhere between 95 to 105 is fine, just don't go above that. What happens in Call of Duty is when you push your FOV too high, your aim assist is actually getting weaker. Target looks further, the aim assist bubble slows down, and you're basically trading away a competitive mechanic just to see a bit more on the map. 103 gives you the awareness without giving anything up. Alright, so Windows settings. A lot of people set up their PC and never touch any of this, and it shows in their performance. First stop is system notifications. Turn off notifications and do not disturb. Bluetooth, turn it off. I actually have mine disabled in the BIOS, so it doesn't even show up here. If you're comfortable doing that, even better. Same goes for Wi-Fi, either disable it here or in the BIOS. Under personalization background, set it to a static picture, no slideshows. Transparency effect, turn that off. Dynamic lighting, you're going to want both of these off. Same deal. Background processes, zero benefit while you're in game. Under personalization start, set everything here to off. You don't need to recommend apps or recent items on a gaming machine. Under app startup, go through what's launching at boot. Anything marked no impact that you actually don't need, turn it off. Now under gaming mode, make sure this is on. It tells Windows to prioritize your game for GPU and CPU resources and stops Windows Update from doing anything while you're in a session. Easy win. Under graphics, optimize for Windows games, you're going to want to turn this on. Hardware accelerated GPU scheduling. So this one isn't a simple on or off answer. If your game is GPU bound, HAG's off. If it's CPU bound, you can consider turning it on because it shifts some of the scheduling from the CPU directly to the GPU, which can help with frame time variance. And in the app list, find your game and set the GPU preference to high performance. Make sure Windows is always pointing your game at your dedicated GPU. Under accessibility visual effects, turn off both transparency effects and animation effects here too. Under privacy and security, from recommendations and offers all the way through to search, go through each one and turn it off. Microsoft has a lot of stuff collecting data in the background by default. On a gaming machine, none of these need to be running. Now under app permissions, go through these one by one starting with location, and anything you're not using for gaming, you can turn these off. And under Windows Update, advanced options, delivery optimization, turn off allow downloads from other PCs. By default, Windows can use your connection to push updates to other devices. That's bandwidth being eaten while you're trying to play. Turn this off. Next up is the power plan. We want ultimate performance. What this does is it tells Windows to keep your CPU at full clock speed at all times. Go into change plan settings, and under advanced settings, hard disk, turn off after, set this to 0. Desktop background settings, slideshow, put this on pause. USB selective suspend, have this on disabled. What this does is it stops Windows from putting your USB devices in a low power state. You don't want your mouse or your headset behaving oddly mid-game because Windows tried to save a few milliwatts. Hit the Windows key and type core isolation. You're going to see memory integrity. You're going to want to turn this off. What memory integrity is doing is it's running virtualization layer that validates your drivers in real time. Sounds good for security, and it is, but it adds overhead to every interaction between your CPU and your GPU driver and your game. Gains can vary by system, but anywhere between 5 to 20% has been reported. For mouse settings now, go to additional mouse settings, pointer options, and turn off enhanced pointer precision. On a desktop this is fine, but in a competitive game, it destroys your muscle memory. Turn this off, it goes off and stays off. Now advanced system settings. Under performance, settings, hit custom and copy what's on screen. What we're doing here is stripping out all the visual effects Windows uses to make the UI look polished. Animations, shadows, fades, none of that matters for gaming, and turning it off frees up your resources. Startup and recovery settings. Uncheck time to display list of operating systems. System restore. If you have an external drive handling your backups, you can go into configure and disable system protection. I have it off on my setup. Now under remote, uncheck allow remote assistance. On a gaming machine, you just don't need that open. Now, network settings. Pay attention here because this one makes a real difference to in-game consistency. The network interface card, I'm using the Intel i210-T1. It's a server-grade card built specifically for low latency and consistent packet delivery. If you're on a Realtek that came with your motherboard, that's completely fine. Just make sure that it's properly tuned, and that's what we're doing right now. Now click Configure, under Power Management, uncheck everything. It needs to be awake and ready at all times. Under the Advanced tab, pause here and copy what you see on the screen. What I'm doing is turning off all the offloads. ARP offload off. Again, I'm just going to click through these one by one. Feel free to pause and copy what you see on the screen. You might have noticed that I have flow control and interrupt moderation both on off. This one matters a lot. Interrupt moderation, it batches your network interrupts together to save CPU usage. This is great for a server environment, but for gaming, you want each packet processed the moment it arrives. Turning this off reduces latency at the cost of a little more CPU usage. Now, why you want all your offloads to be off is that it lets your network interface card handle certain tasks instead of your CPU. This sounds efficient, but for gaming, they may introduce inconsistency in how your packet gets processed. Now for receive buffers, you want this at 512. And for transmit buffers, you want that at 1024, roughly 2 times that of your receive. Now for the rest of these, pause if you need to, I'll give you enough time. For Wake on Magic, Wake on Land, all of that goes off. And as you can see, when I run through this, the buffer bloat test, connection is handling traffic cleanly with little latency spikes. Now, I know I'm running Windows 11 IoT LTSC, which has already come stripped down, but if you're on Windows 11 Home or Pro, you can actually get pretty close to the same place just by doing this yourself. Simply go through the app list and start uninstalling anything that you don't use. Solitaire, Microsoft Family, Clipchamp, all that stuff comes pre-installed and it just sits there. And then, with the Titus utility we're about to run, you can take it even further. Between these two things, you're getting most of the same benefit without having to switch your OS entirely. Every process you remove is one less thing competing with your game. Now, you want to open up PowerShell as an administrator. Go to Chris's website, link is in the description, grab the command, and run it. This pulls the tool up directly. Once you're in, go to the Tweaks tab and only select Standard. That's it. I know there are more aggressive options in there and it's tempting to go further, but some of these tweaks can actually cause instability depending on your hardware and setup. You can also activate the Ultimate Performance plan here as well. Standard gives you a solid clean sweep without touching anything that could cause problems. For myself, I also uncheck create restore point because I handle backups externally. If you don't have that set up, then you can leave it checked. The last stop is NVIDIA control panel. Hit the take me there button or go to manage 3D settings yourself. Pause here and copy what's on screen. And under Configure Surround and PhysX, select your dedicated GPU. You want PhysX on your GPU, not your CPU. Desktop color settings, I've got brightness at 52 and digital vibrance somewhere between 65 and 75. Don't go too high though, your in-game color starts looking a little bit unrealistic. Now for adjust desktop size and position, set this to no scaling and make sure you uncheck override the scaling mode set by games and programs as well. And lastly, under adjust video color settings, you're going to want to select NVIDIA and full. That's everything for today. But two things I haven't covered yet that matters a lot for performance: RAM overclocking and GPU overclocking. On the RAM side, tighten your secondary timings first, then work your way into your primaries. Use AIDA64 and TM5 to validate stability before you call it done. Not sure what any of that means? Don't overthink it, just go into your BIOS, enable XMP Profile 1, save and exit. That alone puts you ahead of most people. For GPU overclocking, use MSI Afterburner. That deserves its own video entirely. If you want me to go deep on both, a like and subscribe tells me to make it happen. See you in the next one.